Welcome to a little bit of extra bonus content about singing. This is going to be really nice and basic because all singing voices are different, and singing, if you're new to it, is really something that ideally you're working on with a coach at least once in a while, even if regular lessons aren't an option for you for financial or other reasons. But I'm going to take you through one or two really sort of easy, gentle warm-ups just so that you have a starting place if you'd like to experiment a little bit. This first exercise, I'm going to cover a really big range of notes. So we're going to start really, really low, all the way down here. That's going to be too low for some of your voices. That's completely fine. We're going to end up really high, all the way up here. That's probably going to be too high for some of your voices. That's all right. I'm doing a really big range so that everyone can find the handful of notes that work best for them. Hopefully you've already done all of the warm-ups in the video up to this point, so you're feeling nice and open and relaxed. We're going to sing these just in a big open ah sound. And we're going to slide up and we're going to slide down like this. So singing and if that's a bit low for you, like it is for me, don't worry about it. When we do these, we want to keep everything really nice and open and relaxed. We're using an ah sound because it's a nice open vowel sound. We want to make sure that we're using a nice amount of air, and we want to make sure that we're not straining anything. So if that note is too low for you, don't try to force yourself down to it. Have a little listen, try every couple of notes, and start when it's comfortable for you. Likewise, as we go higher and higher, if you get to a point where you start to feel a little bit strangled or like you're working really hard, as a first point of action, try consciously relaxing everything. Try making sure your chin is lifting up as you sing a high note. Sing a high note just as you would a low note without any extra effort. But at a certain point, it may be a little bit too high, and you should definitely stop if it starts to feel really difficult. So this interval, the distance between these two notes, is a fifth, which means 5 notes up a scale. You can also remember it as the first 2 notes of Star Wars. If you haven't seen Star Wars, warmly recommend it. Ready? So on a nice open ah, we're going from right down here. And then higher. Gorgeous. So many notes to choose from. And if you've got the hang of that pattern and you want to try taking it a little bit higher in your range or a little bit lower in your range, absolutely go for it. When we're singing, particularly with a voice that's changing or a voice that we're working to change, it's important to be gentle and really attentive to what feels good for you. The second exercise we're going to do is just a tiny little slide down. So at the beginning of the warm-up video, we did some yawn slides. From up high in our range to down low in our range. If you're someone who's working on kind of joining up the high and low bits of your voice, in singing we would call that our head voice, which is this one up here, and our chest voice, which is that one down there. You might notice that there's a little gear change or switch between the two. We're gonna do a really similar exercise, which is basically just to start up above where that divide is and to just slide down a fifth again. It's the same interval. So you might find that you can start much higher for this exercise than you could go up to for the last exercise, because we're starting kind of up above that gear change. You might be right up here. If we think about matching that, particularly if you've got a lower voice, we're thinking about a really nice open sort of child in a choir kind of sound. Definitely don't push it too hard. And we're just going to slide down a fifth. So it's the same distance as the last exercise, the Star Wars interval, or going down. It also kind of sounds like the opening to the Flintstones. If you haven't seen the Flintstones, warmly recommend. If that note feels a little bit too high, that's totally fine. I'm just going to play a handful of these and join in whenever feels comfy for you. Gorgeous. Hopefully that's both high enough and low enough that it's taken everybody over that gear change between one voice and the next. In classical voice training, we call that a passaggio, which is just Italian for passage. And it's the passage from one bit of our voice to the next. We actually have a handful of these in our voice because we have a handful of different ranges. But this one right in the middle is the most interesting. And by that, I mean most difficult one, because it represents the biggest kind of shift in tone. If you're new to this kind of work, go for it gently. Just have a few slides here and there. Get used to singing in an easy, open way. It should never feel like lots of work. If you're turning pink, something's going wrong. We always want to be doing this in a really gentle way. And then maybe once you're comfy, try singing a simple song. Maybe a little Christmas carol or children's song or folk song, something with a nice small range to it. Your goal always, especially once you start saying words for lyrics, is just to stay nice and open and relaxed and trust that your voice will come out.